What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 4 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Roscoe, and what an absolutely amazing week we had last week with the conference championships that we'll talk about soon and with the Pegasus World Cup. Just an absolutely unbelievable weekend for betting. To all of you that tuned in to the HHH Racing Podcast to watch our live show at the Crazy Poor OTB Club Hawthorne in Villa Park, Illinois. We greatly appreciate it. Sadly, didn't go our way, but a lot of horses giving out that were tipped out by Howard and the rest of the guys. So again, if you did show up for that, we greatly appreciate it. If you are brand new or you find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't subscribed yet, why not? You're already coming back anyway. Go down below the video player or the bottom right-hand side of the screen here and hit subscribe. Again, it helps us out that you love the show and that will let YouTube know that this is a great show and that people want to watch it, and it will start dishing it out to other people. So please, it helps us out a lot. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, while you're down there, hit the like button. It does the exact same thing. It lets YouTube know that this is a show that people want to watch, and we are greatly appreciated. And again, we have an email if you are interested in sending us anything good, anything negative, anything at all. We greatly appreciate it. It is below the video player and scrolling right here. Bettin N Boozin, no G's. That is Bettin, the letter N, Boozin at gmail.com. Again, if you are an audio listener, please listen, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Those are the 3 main audio platforms that we use. So if you are more of an audio listener and you don't want to watch these on YouTube, even though I recommend it because you get to see all of this beautiful face and the rest of my co-hosts' beautiful faces. So again, but if you are, please rate, review, and subscribe over on the audio platforms. To the power picks, they come chugging along every day, like every week, every Saturday they get dished out. This last Saturday, they had a massive edition for the Pegasus World Cup. And again, I'm sure everyone was grateful that got that. Howard gave out some really good horses, some 5-1 winners, some 10-1, some 8-1 winners. That was a really good day for the spot plays that he put on there. It is a very affordable horse racing tip sheet. It's only $4 a weekend. That's $15.99 a month. And you'll get an edition with 2 separate tracks with full horses in different spot plays. You have a full pick 5 grid winners. They give winners of 5 races in a row and everything like that for only $4 a weekend for 2 separate checks. It is a great deal with a 2.59 return on investment, which is almost $1 over the national average. So if you are interested, go to patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast, or it is also in the description below. So please click there. And guys, I want to say thank you again. If longtime viewers of the podcast will know this sponsor, but we did secure a brand new sponsor for us here on Bettin N Boozin. It is BetUS. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring the HHH Racing Podcast and Bettin N Boozin. It's a fantastic sports betting and casino platform for all your big plays every single day of every single month. It offers up to 200 live games a day and live betting plus 300 to 400 different props for you to bet on all those games. So please check them out. And if you go over there to deposit, please sign up. And then when you deposit, please use our code RACING3H. Again, that is RACING, RACING 3, the letter 3, or the letter 3. Wow. The number 3H, RACING 3H. And you'll get a free 125% back if you deposit $100 or more. So you get a free 25% on whatever you deposit, which is a great deal. And it will obviously give you more money to bet and hopefully more money to win. So if you could, please, when you go to deposit, when it'll look like this, you'll put in your amount and use the promo code RACING3H, and that will get deposited right into your account. But again, thank you again to BetUS, the new sponsor of Bettin N Boozin on the HHH Racing Podcast. And if you're interested on anything about us or any of the different old power pick editions, if you want to look at them before you buy, go to our fantastic website made by one of our co-hosts. It is hhhracingpodcast.com. Now, without further ado, guys, I think we're getting right into it here. It's going to be hopefully a quick fire, rapid fire episode covering the NBA slate for tomorrow. The spreads just came out. Our co-hosts just got a chance to look at them. They already had everything they wanted to do set up, but it's going to be really interesting. And we're also going to talk about our very early Super Bowl predictions. So it should be a lot of fun. The lines are out, obviously, and all the props are out. So it'll be a fun. I know we're going to have a lot for myself personally. I'm gonna have a lot of prop edition um confident, like a lot of confidence in my picks because I am a prop player. And also next week, the one last thing I want to touch on before we bring on my co-hosts is next week we're gonna have a massive blowout edition, two shows for you guys on the Super Bowl. It is going to be covering all the fun stuff, in my opinion, all the props, and and my favorite bets to make during the Super Bowl, which is the coin toss and the Gatorade color. We'll be covering all of that on next Tuesday, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then during our normal slot next Wednesday, we are going to cover all of the stats, such as the money line, the over under, the spread, and all of that. And it is going to be with a lot of special guests. And might I add, we're going to have a very special guest here tonight. My co-hosts do not know who this is going to be. A nationally recognized special guest will be showing up at the end of the horse racing segment. So again, stay on for that. But now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my amazing co-hosts. We have the full gang back here today. Patrick's back from being on an internship. So we're all here. I'm going to bring him on from New Jersey, the man himself, Patrick Kuenzel, and from Ohio State University, Charlie Freeman. Boys, what's going on?
Glad to be back.
Yeah. No,
happy to have the full crew here. Very happy about that.
Absolutely. And, I got a nice Kronbacher glass, but sadly, I don't got no Kronbacher in here. I got the Coors Light rolling, beers. Patrick's got a Miller Lite going. But, boys, without further ado, let's get into it to that Thursday slate. Glasses are up. Cheers, boys, and let's get on to it here. So first things first, I want to go over the early Super Bowl stuff that's going on. And just to kind of notate it here, Penn State Scott says, evening, gentlemen. Penn State Scott, I know you don't like this, and I know you don't like that right there that Charlie's got on, but we're going to be touching on a game for bragging rights earlier in the NCAA. And Paul Howland, good evening, gentlemen. Paul, thanks so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it, guys. Now, we're going to go on to the early Super Bowl stuff. So this is what came out earlier today, or earlier in the week. Sorry, my apologies. It is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia was actually favored by -1.5, which I thought was pretty interesting. Kansas City morning line right now, and again, I want to touch on this now because I want to come back in a week and I want to see how much the betting public has shifted these odds, which is another reason why I wanted to do it. Kansas City's morning line is +100. Philadelphia's -118, and the over/under is actually at a pretty high 50.5. And Mahomes is the favorite for the MVP, not by much. I think Jalen Hurts is +125, while Mahomes is +120, and the Travis Kelce is the favorite scoring prop at -130. Patrick, I'm going to kind of go to you first, just with a little bit of reaction to these odds. I believe this might be the first time you're seeing them. If not, what was your initial reaction when you saw them come out?
To be honest, I'm not surprised that the line has favored the Eagles. It fluctuated down. It went to 2.5, -2.5, down to 1.5. This is all going to depend on Mahomes and a couple of the Chiefs injuries, in their secondary and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think the Eagles are the better team. So depending on which way this line goes, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I just think that this line is staying where it is because of Mahomes. And, even if he is healthy, you got to look at the fact that the Eagles might just be the better team.
Yeah, absolutely. The people are, the people are always saying, cupcake schedule this, Mickey Mouse that. The Philadelphia Eagles have earned a right to be here. They beat some pretty good teams, and I saw all this crap going around, it's, the hospital 49ers and the crap Giants or whatever these people want to say. Lo and behold, they're here for a reason. They were 14-3 throughout the entire regular season, losing their last 2 games, if I'm pretty sure. And they deserve to be here.
Outscoring their team 79-14. I mean, bad teams don't do that. So
no, exactly that. So, they have a right to be here. As much as I love the mouse himself, I don't believe that this is a Mickey Mouse type of situation. Charlie, what's your kind of reaction to these odds?
So, yeah, for starters, I do want to address Penn State Scott, who claims that we didn't acknowledge what he said about the Eagles, but I picked the Eagles, buddy. I don't know if you watched the show, but when it was you and me talking, just us two, you went with the 49ers. I went with the Eagles. Yeah. I stood on the Eagles twice, by the way. I said I liked the Eagles in that game. So I'm not sure what that's from. And yes, Howard, it is the Ohio State University, for everyone who doesn't know.
I absolutely refuse to call it dead with wearing this on my chest.
I
But
mean, to be fair, I refuse to read the name on your chest. It'll always be that team up north. And then as for the spread, yeah, it's very interesting to me. I mean, you guys know, like how we've talked about in the past when I've given picks that I really like to look at like the percentages and
Yep.
like how the spread has moved. And while admittedly 63% of bets are now on the Eagles, the spread has already moved a ton. So I'm very intrigued to what it'll be next week because this opened at Kansas City -2 and it is now Philly
Wow.
-1.5. So that's a ton of movement. And the thing that actually interests me more for now, because I mean, I feel like with spread, it kind of makes sense. You're gonna like it's more common that that's where bets are gonna be. People are gonna overreact or see a line that they absolutely love and disagree with and bet a ton right away. But what I think is interesting is that only 40% of bets are on the over, and yet the over's already moved a full point. Because I feel like with
Mhm.
over-unders, you don't usually see that kind of movement. And usually it's the other way around. Normally everybody bets the over because that's just what the public, like people who don't know anything about sports, want to do. Why would you not want to see points?
Right.
And like, you see Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, you naturally think, oh, high scoring. So I thought everybody was going to be on the over and the under would move, but it appears to be the other way around. That people believe in Philly's defense. Maybe that because of how they saw the Chiefs defense got to the quarterback so well against Cincy, even with their secondary that they held up that well, maybe they think it'll be a lower scoring game. But so, yeah, that's the thing that's really stood out to me the most. I mean, obviously, the spread moving 3.5 points and flipping completely the other way is something. But for that, I'm not as surprised it moved that much. I'm much more excited for next week to see what it's at. And honestly, I don't even know where my pick would be yet because I want to wait again to see what the line is by the time we pick. But yeah, no, the over under is the thing that honestly more so surprised me. I thought for sure the public would have overreacted and jumped on the over right away and that it would have moved the other way.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I think people are looking, granted, again, that argument is there that, who did they face? But the reality of the matter, I can't speak. The reality of the matter is Philadelphia had the number one defense this year, and they gave up the least amount of points to a Kansas City team who relies heavily on their offense. Granted, their secondary has flowed a little bit, but their line's gotten better, but they rely heavily on that offense and behind Patrick Mahomes. So the spread moving a lot surprises me, but in the way it's sliding, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that much. But as of right now, I might be on that Kansas City money line bet, that plus 100, that 2-to-1's looking very nice to me right now. But again, guys, I just more wanted to get your initial reactions. And obviously, Mahomes MVP favorite doesn't really do anything for me. I kind of figured that would be it. And then like I said, Jalen Hurts is right behind that at plus 125. So it's very close.
Yeah, one thing about that, you look at the way the Eagles have won, over the course of the playoffs this year, between the Giants, the beating
Mhm.
up of the Giants, Jalen Hurts didn't have to do anything special. Did he do anything wrong? No. Against San
Yep.
Francisco, was he special? No. He threw for 145 yards. Did he rush for a touchdown? Sure. I do think if there's one thing I'm going to look at, you look at the MVP odds. If you think the Eagles are going to win, you got to look at, some pricier odds for MVP because the way the Eagles have been winning in the playoffs has not been because of Jalen Hurts going absurd, that
Yep.
he's going to win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Now, he very well could, don't get me wrong, but I could see a defender winning it. I mean, I could see, a defensive line, Hassan Reddick might be a good one, strip sack, something like that.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like just thinking about, these bets are crazy. So you just start thinking about these things and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, like I said, with all the stigma around Patrick Mahomes, I just assumed he would, and he's probably going to end up being the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But you're right. I mean, look what Jalen. Granted, he hasn't, like you said, he hasn't had to do very much in his last two games, considering how badly they beat up all both those teams. In my opinion, Brock Purdy going out of that game really just sealed the deal immediately for them. Because I, as much as I really wanted to see Kyle Juszczyk step in and throw the ball as the emergency quarterback, without Brock Purdy, that team was pretty much done. Especially not having the hospital behind them with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance still being out. Charlie, anything kind of surprised you with the props before we move on to our NBA slate?
Yeah, no, I agree with Patrick. I mean, like, I get that the quarterbacks are supposed to be the favorites. I think Mahomes should be the favorite. I
Yeah.
think his price, I would take it at that, but I'm not saying it as in like it's some crazy value. I think that's pretty
Hmm.
realistic. But yeah, no, I was gonna say exactly what Patrick said. I think Hassan Reddick, who at least according to FanDuel is plus 3,400 right now, that's someone I would definitely be looking towards. Um, Honestly, I wouldn't be touching the Eagles personally. If I did, it would be like a Hassan Reddick, somebody on the defensive end. simply because, like what you've said, they've dominated with their defense and they've played a bunch of garbage teams. So like we haven't seen Hurts have to step up. Now, granted, he will have to step up in this game, but I don't know if he'll shine under the brightest lights. I don't know how much they'll need him to, or if he can.
Yeah.
So I think the safer way would go with Mahomes. They actually play good competition. They beat good teams. He's done it before. He's been in the spot. Even when he's hurt, he still always finds a way to be in that spot. Now, granted, he's in that spot because the referees had their money, their kids' child's money, their college funds, their life savings, everything you could mention on them to win. And as much as it pains me because I didn't want to see the Chiefs win, I couldn't be happier that Eli Apple is on his way to Cancun. I know he went to Ohio State, but I hate the man. He actually, a tweet just went out about him when he was asked about where he sees himself playing next year. He said wherever he wanted. And I tweeted saying that I think he'll go to a retirement home, and I don't know if they would even take him. So he'll probably be on the streets. So if you do see Eli Apple, just make sure anybody who sees him on the streets, because that's where he'll be next year, make sure to check in on the guy, see if he's doing well.
Look,
I saw his mom already deactivated her Twitter to avoid any hatred. I feel bad for the mom. It's not her fault.
No,
I mean, it is because she brought, I don't know. But
probably shouldn't say that.
But I don't know. Eli Apple, I'm sorry. I'm so happy to see what's happening to Eli Apple. I am so happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all those guys, right? You know, that Jalen Ramsey, Eli Apple type stuff where all they do is talk a bunch of shit. And then when they get it thrown back in their mouth, you know, it's always fun to laugh at them in hindsight. But, you know, I just honestly respect I know I'm going to bring it up in a second. You know, I mean, I love the guys playing hard. You know, I mean, trash talking is part of the game. You know, it's the part of football. That's what, you know, people too soft nowadays. Yeah. But it gets to a point when, you know, it's always fun to kind of throw it back in their face when it goes under. But
it's just tough when someone who's burnt toast is talking that much.
Well, that's also true. You know, I mean, you know, guys going on 50, you know, it's kind of hard for them to talk shit. Penn State Scott. All right.
This is amazing.
I'm sure everyone laughed at it here, but my best bet next week. Hey, I've been right 3 years in a row with the coin toss. I've gone tails, heads. It might be a tails type of year. I went around on my Snapchat and stuff the past 2 years saying the heads type of year. It might be a tails type of year. I got to research it, but no.
You got to research it.
Hey, the anthem over, you know, the anthem over is never a bad chance, but Chris Ableton might be a man of culture. He might take it down, but last year's anthem, that hammer the over. There was no way that shit was going on.
Oh no, I have a thought for the anthem. Honestly, if we're talking over under, you just got to wait to see what the sharps and inside sources are saying. That's how my friends and I would do a huge sheet. And the way I picked, I have to check which I went with, but it was because I saw on BR Betting's Instagram account that someone leaked that somehow they had an inside source who was at the rehearsal and heard how long it was, and I bet accordingly, and I got it right. So that's what you got to do. You got to figure out who's the inside source that's listening to dress rehearsals and see how long the anthem's taken and roll with it. Just add a few more seconds for the real one, and that's what the time is going to be.
Yeah, and then one time you listen to him, he's going to be working for Vegas, and you're going to be screwed. But hey, that's the way it works.
Well, then I just clear my name.
Well, yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, so let's go on to our NBA slate here. This is our first time tackling NBA, but we have some really good games lined up for you. We're going to go over 3 games. It is going to be the Grizzlies Cavaliers. It is going to be the Clippers Bucks, and then ended by Warriors Nuggets. So those are the 3 we're going to go over. And we're going to start, obviously, like I said, with the Grizzlies Cavaliers. Bringing up ESPN. I'm going to bring it full screen. The Grizzlies Cavaliers. Cavaliers are favored by 5 in this game, with Memphis plus 172, Cleveland minus 205, and the over-under. Since it is tomorrow, it is not available yet. But I'm going to bring us back on screen here, and we're going to go over. I obviously have the stats on screen and where the public's thinking. Patrick, I'm going to go to you first on this one. You know, where's your kind of head at with this type of matchup? Although it is a really good game for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, the Cavs are unbelievable, especially at home. I think 21-6 at home. Grizzlies, they're playing well too. Obviously, Ja Morant, they're solid. I know they're playing right now, so they're going to be coming off a back-to-back. I like the Cavaliers at home. I mean, that 21-6 record sticks out to me. So I'll back them plus the points at home, you know, off a back-to-back in the NBA. I mean, I know a lot of NBA teams like to sit some players off back-to-backs.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's another game actually that we're going related. The Warriors are also playing back-to-back. The Warriors play tonight. I can't remember who they play, but they also do play tonight. Charlie, I know, big NBA man here. This is the guy that you're going to be looking towards. Charlie, where's your head at?
No, I'll be honest. I'm actually making my pick as we speak because this is impacting my pick. I'm going to take the Cavs, and I love them here. Simple reason why is I'm looking at the Grizzlies right now. They're playing at home. They're up by 3 against the Blazers with 4 minutes to go, which means that game's coming down to the wire. Now, that's huge for me because for me, back-to-backs don't always mean the most to me. What matters to me is how that back-to-back went. If this was a game where you played a back-to-back, but the night before you were up by 20-plus points and you're able to take your starters out by the third quarter, they're not going to be that tired. They're going to be coming in confident after a big win. You're good. But when it's a game where it's nitty-gritty, it's coming down to the wire, you're probably playing your starters big minutes. I actually want to take a look at that real quick. Yeah, like John Morant's playing 30 minutes. Dylan Brooks has played 34. So, like, your starters are going to be coming off a big, gritty, tough game. And also the fact that they're playing at home right now. So this is easier. Now you have to get them to go on a plane and go to Cleveland. Cavs are dominant at home as well. They get the rest. I'm going to roll with the Cavs here as well.
Yeah, look, this is the big telltale sign for me right here, especially, like I said, coming off that. And that's actually a really good point that you bring up, that it is a close game where, their stars are playing really long minutes. For me, it means more to a team like, granted, I'm going to bring up my team again, the Bucks, when Giannis is playing 46 out of 48 minutes and they end up winning by 2 or something like that. So he drops like 50 like he did the other night. That type of stuff is where it really, but obviously a guy like Giannis can play, he can play 60 minutes and not really feel too much, or it wouldn't hurt his stat line by any means. But this is where I'm looking to right here. The Grizzlies are 11-15 on the road right now, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are 21-6 at home. Coming off, and like I said, the Grizzlies are coming off that game that Charlie just talked about. I just can't see them beating the Cavs at home. I'm going to take Cavs with the points here. And like I said, the over-under could be really interesting in this type of game where, like I said, they're coming off that quick turnaround. Obviously, 69%, very nice, is on the 69% of the public is on the Cavaliers as well. So I just can't take the Grizzlies, like I said, coming off that. And when they have this bad of a record away, that's just my opinion. Charlie, do you got anything more to touch on before we move on?
No, I think you honestly hit everything on the head. I feel like in the NBA, I don't necessarily always think home away means the most. But what I will say is, again, when you're having to switch from home to away, you're in a tough back-to-back. And also when it is involving an elite team at home, it does make a big difference. I just feel like everything sets up the Cavs here for the spot. I also just think it's tougher for Western Conference in general because I think the Western Conference is a much more difficult gauntlet to go through than the East. Yep. So to have to be going through that gauntlet and then go to an Eastern Conference team that probably has had a lot more easier games recently, that's dominant at home and that got that extra night of rest, I just think everything for Grizzlies are a great team. Don't get me wrong, but I just think everything is setting up the Cavs. And the Cavs have a young team. It's not like they're an old team. The Grizzlies are young, but it's still tough on them. Grizzlies are a very physical, fast-paced, energetic, athletic team, which I also think makes a huge difference because they're going to be exerting a lot of energy. I just think everything points to the Cavs here.
I agree with you completely. And then we're going to go to a few comments here. Penn State's got Hurts is way more hurt than Mahomes. I'm sure probably pun intended, to be honest. Mahomes is just a better actor. Yeah. When he's walking gingerly around, the press conference like that, he comes out and starts slinging the ball all the way around the field. So, that's just the way it goes. And then Howard, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. Howard used to be, for those of you that don't know, he used to coach basketball back in the prime days. But he says the back-to-back deal is no joke. Although younger teams are less apt to rest their players, especially when playing a good team. Absolutely. And as we touched on, that back-to-back is no joke. Patrick, do you want to say something before we move on?
Yeah, Howard must have used that as an excuse for when he took a loss off a back-to-back. Don't you think? You think?
Yeah, sir. My players just played yesterday. It's fine. Come on. But yeah, no, I can.
He had to say that. He had to say that just to cover it up.
Absolutely. Oh God, I almost choked. Absolutely, that's freaking great. All right, guys. Now this is a game where I'm obviously pretty passionate about, but we're gonna move on to the Bucks Clippers here. The Bucks, I believe, are favored by 4.5.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Actually, didn't even write it in there, but yes, minus 4.5 for the Bucks. The money line for the Clippers is plus 164, and the money line for the Bucks is minus 196 with an over under, which was posted at 230.5. When I looked at it, Charlie, we're going to you first. It almost just feels like the same type of thing, no?
Yeah, again, I don't really love what I'm seeing from this Clippers team. Like, they're having to rest guys all the time. They're not living up to the hype, even when guys came back healthy. I think a lot of their wins, honestly, are kind of dependent upon guys that are more unsung heroes, like Norman Powell's of the world, having big games. Yep. I watched them against the Bulls. Didn't really like what I saw. I'm going back to just getting through that West gauntlet. You're having to go to a Milwaukee team that's 21-5 at home. I will say the spread is a little concerning for me. Like the fact that it's only -5 is a little worrisome. Like I feel like where the Cavs spread is about right. But I honestly thought Milwaukee would be closer, like -7.5, -8. So it's tough because obviously since we're picking for the next day, it's not like the public has bet enough either way where you can try to use that for any interpretation. It's kind of just what you see. But I'm assuming the Bucks are fully healthy. So I think is Middleton back yet or no? I know he's.
Yes, I believe so. He came
yeah.
back a few weeks ago, or
I
yeah,
was
1 or
I
2 weeks
thought he
ago.
was back. I didn't know. I don't think they're playing tonight, so he's not going to be resting on a
Mm-hmm.
back-to-back. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucks here, and I don't really like the Bucks. So this is definitely not a biased pick. I do believe in the Bucks.
Look, and yeah, I will fully disclose this definitely will be a biased pick for me, but the Bucks they're so good at the 5-serve. I think in this type of matchup here, even though the Clippers have Zubac, I just think this is a complete mismatch underneath with Giannis, who's so quick, can really drive to that rim. I feel like this is gonna be just a Giannis type of game where he goes off for mid to high 30s with 12 boards. That's just for me. I mean, like I said, he's listed as day to day. I think he'll play, like I said, coming off a rest day. It won't be. And obviously, you got Chris back, you got Drew up top with Grayson Allen, as much as that pains me to say.
Oh God.
I know. I knew everyone was going to say it. But I mean, he's definitely a playmaker that helps. And then they got Wesley Matthews back, who usually comes off the bench. But that type, I feel like the Bucks match up really well against this Clippers team, especially at home off a rest day. I'm going to go with the Bucks. Patrick, is that kind of how you see it as well?
Actually, depending on who the Clippers sit and who they play, I do like them in this spot, and I'll tell you why. They were on the road for a while. They won 5 out of 6. They actually won 5 straight. They lost to Cleveland on the road, and we just talked about Cleveland's record being 21-6 at home. So you could give them the benefit of the doubt there. So they were on a run for a little while. I like them coming home, starting to play better, starting to get a little healthier at least. At home as a dog, I mean, I'll take a home dog, especially getting the points. So I'll take a shot with them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the rest of us can be chalk eating weasels, but Patrick's going against the grain here with a plus 164 pick on the Clippers. Do you think Clippers with points, or are you just going Clippers straight up?
I'll go Clippers with the points. Listen, I'm just, I'm taking the idea of like if a team's playing well on the road, winning games, and they're coming home as a dog, I'd much rather side with that, and I get the Bucks are a good team, don't get me wrong, but I just think that at home on a decent winning streak, winning 5 of 6, why not take a shot?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Granted, again, I hate you for it, but I respect your opinion, and there's nothing, obviously that's full bias talking in me. This Bucks team, if Giannis does not play well or Giannis gets into foul trouble, that's when this team gets vulnerable. Like I said, I just personally think that the Bucks have a mismatch down low, and I think they can really abuse that in a game like this. But hey, there's no disrespect in the public. I'm gonna bring it back on screen here. The public's actually going with you. That's 51% on the Clippers, just based up on the matchup predictor, which is extremely interesting in my opinion. But there's not a whole lot you could do. I mean, for me as a Bucks fan, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Hopefully, that money line maybe even drifts up a little bit. I can take him tomorrow. Charlie, you got anything to wrap up before we go on?
No, I think we honestly kind of hit everything on the head. I mean, yeah, like I said, this would certainly, in my eyes, be a game where I would see the intrigue of going the route of the Clippers 100%, simply because, like I kind of hinted at earlier, I'm just surprised with what the spread is at. I thought it would be higher. But yeah, I still gotta lean with Milwaukee. It's hard to bet against them at home, and it's hard to bet against Giannis.
It's absolutely true. And Ross Blacker, thank you so much for joining the show, man. Appreciate all the compliments and stuff like that. So cheers to you, my friend, and 100%. And I'll take a drink for that one as well. Ross, for all those of you that don't know, on the normal HHH Racing Podcast, when I go on there, apparently I say 100% a lot during that show. So every time I say something like that, we all take a drink. So again, cheers to everybody out there. Let's booze it up a little bit. But again, thanks, Ross, for all the kind words and the good old salute to the drink. I appreciate it. So, guys, let's go on to the last game here before we move on to horse racing. It is going to be Golden State versus Denver. This game, again, I know Golden State's not playing, but this is a pretty big spread. Denver's favored by 9.5. Golden State's plus 360 on the money line, and Denver's minus 460 again. Sadly, since they don't come out with spreads until late at night for tomorrow's games, the over/under was not available again. Charlie, I'm going to go back to you again to start here a little bit. Where's your kind of head at with this game? Like I said, this is a lot of points.
Yeah. So, real quick, wanted to point out, I don't know what just happened to the Grizzlies. They were literally up 4 when I was talking to you guys, and all of a sudden they're down 8 now, and they're about to lose. So maybe they come in angry against the Cavs, and we all messed up. We'll see.
Yeesh.
But no, I'm going to lean with the Warriors. I think Denver wins this game. Warriors are on a back-to-back on the road. They're playing the Timberwolves right now. It's just the problem is for me is that's just so many points. Anytime that you're going against Steph Curry, to have to give up 9.5. And like this is a Nuggets team where I know they're good, but I think they're fraudulent. I mean, I know they're great at home. They're going to win in my eyes. But like they just beat a Pelicans team by 9 that has honestly been terrible since Zion went out. I want to say they've lost like 9 or 10 straight. They were talking all that crap about being such a good team, and now, I mean, I love Willie Green, but I hate Pelicans fans. So to just see their downfall has been lovely, to say the least. But sorry, to stick the topic on this, I don't like the Warriors. I don't like Steph Curry. I don't like their team. I don't like that all their fans are 10-year-olds who just started watching basketball once they were winning rings. However, I will go with them in this spot. It's simply too many points. There are very few matchups in the NBA. The thing that people have to understand is in the NBA, it's not like college basketball. Same thing with like how the NFL is not like college football, where when a top team plays like a mid or not as good team, they just blow them out. Like that's just not how it works. These are the best players in the world at their sport. So a lot of the time, whenever you see a bigger spread, they're trying to bait you to take it. So that's what I think this is. I think this is they're trying to get you to just take Denver and assume it's too many points and go on it. I'm going to lean with the Warriors. I can't take 9.5 points and trust them to cover that many against Steph.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And like I said, I'm going to bring up this comment here. Michael Osen, thanks so much for joining the show, man. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, as Charlie just touched on, they went from up 4 to down 8, which is an absolutely brutal 12-point swing. So if you had the Grizzlies bet, I'm sure Grizzlies fans and bettors around feel your pain, Michael. That's honestly, that's why we play, but that's why we hate this game that we call gambling. It's absolutely effing annoying. But Patrick, I'm gonna let you talk before I kind of chime in here. Where's your head at with this one?
So this line's kind of telling me that the Nuggets are going to beat up on the Warriors. Like the Warriors are one of those teams in the NBA where like, they're going to get money regardless because of the Warriors, with Steph Curry or whatever. You know where I'm going with that. But I just think that a 9.5 point spread and they're on the road, I just think Denver might throttle them. I don't think this might be close.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know Charlie, you touched on how, home and away doesn't matter. Cause I mean, it does to a sense, but it doesn't. I mean, like you said, these are the best players in the world. They do it. They come in to do what they do, but the Golden State being 7-18 on the road, but against the Nuggets 23-4 at home, how much better the Nuggets play. Granted, they don't play horrible away, but they're a 500 team away and they only have 4 losses in 27 games at home versus a Warriors team that's really not good on the road. That 10-point spread, I mean, it is a lot of points, but it's against a Nuggets team where, Jokic underneath against a team like the Warriors, it just seems like I keep harping on it, but it just seems like such a mismatch in my eyes against the team such like the Warriors who play a lot of outside bounce to bounce, stuff like that. It's just, I really want to take the points, and I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take Denver with the points. It just seems because again, Golden State's that one team that if they get hot, they're a team that can easily make it close in the end. But Penn State Scott, I'm going to sum it up perfectly with him right here. I'm going to bring his full screen. This game feels like gambling, and it does. This is the game that, like I just said, if the Warriors get hot, they're that team that can keep it really close. If Steph Curry just starts nailing threes, goes 10 for 15 on threes like he does sometimes, this is a game that definitely can be close. And Penn State Scott also says Charlie's bringing the heat. That's why we have him on the show, man. Charlie's always bringing the heat. Also, one thing I wanted to put out is that for any guys that have it out there, we have a TikTok now. It is at the show named Bettin N Boozin, and I posted a clip of Charlie about the Vikings game where he calls the Vikings the most overrated double-digit win team in NFL history, and it got a lot of love. Charlie, that was it's our most liked video by far. So keep the hot takes coming.
No, those will keep going. I just wanted to hit on 2 things. First thing, real quick about the Warriors game is I do feel like the Nuggets are one of those teams that they'll show up against. I feel like that's kind of what they're known for. Is they're just like a perfect example is when they played the Grizzlies on Christmas with nobody healthy and they somehow beat them as like a pretty big underdog. Is like one of the things that the Warriors really do best is, and not in a good way, is they really like to play up or down to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've kind of noticed this year in particular. So that's the other reason why I like them with the points. Is I just feel like this is a game that they wake up for. This is one of those games that's probably circled on the calendar. That's probably like this is a young and up and coming Nuggets team that's going to be one of the best teams in the league. Like we got to remind them who the West still goes through, regardless of what their standings say. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out is I'm just shocked right now. I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That the Celtics right now are up 127 to 82 against the Nets on national television. That's outrageous to me. And I know that those Celtics fans are just being brutal to Kyrie Irving right now.
Absolutely. And I had I was a Celtics fan for a night. I live bet them when they were down 8 against the Lakers with that horrible missed foul call. I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm from Chicago. Of course, I'm more of a Jordan fan. But my God, was that
that
bad.
was fixed.
That was so bad, dude. When they literally, like they showed the replay, literally his whole arm slapped him down.
Did you see what Patrick Beverly did? I hate Patrick Beverly. I love that. Showing the referee a guy's camera is something I never thought I'd see a player have it in them to do. That was so funny to me.
Caught in 4K.
Yeah, literally pointed. Look at the camera. It's right there.
Oh my, it's just so funny. But hey, I was perfectly fine with it. Like I said, the Celtics ended up winning that game. I got plus 260 on it or something like that.
Oh my God, an 8-legger. Oh, Michael,
absolutely love it. That's so absolutely brutal. I'll bring that up in a second. But guys, just kind of, it can be from these games. It can be from any one of the NBA games tomorrow. Charlie, we're going to go down to you first. What's your best bet of this weekend? Or this week?
So my best bet actually for Thursday, I'm actually going to go to college basketball because I know we're going to hit on one of the podcasts as well. So no, my best bet is not going to be Northwestern. I do actually like us to cover simply because I feel like Northwestern's like a smart school. We're not known for basketball. And even though Michigan hasn't been great this year, which I think you can admit they just haven't been that great in basketball this year, I feel like people are, just because it's Juwan Howard and just because they're Michigan, they're going to hammer Michigan against Northwestern. So the fact that we're -4 intrigues me.
Yep.
But my best bet is actually going to be a very late night game. I don't know if people are going to be up for it. I feel bad that I'm doing this to people. But at 11 p.m. No, it's not like a Siena type of game.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
USC is -5 at home against Washington State, and I like USC. This USC team has looked really good as of late. They're getting in their swing. I think they're a dark horse to win the Pac-12. Not the regular season. I think they're too far behind because, like, I don't know if Arizona and UCLA ever lost ever. But I think that USC could be a team that could upset and win their conference in the tournament. But I'm going to go with USC -5 against Washington State as the late night. And I will say there were some other ones I was considering that I do like, but I don't think people have heard of the colleges. So I think out of respect to our viewers, I'm not going to take some of these other ones that I really do like because I don't think people have heard of the college.
Hey man, everyone's a fellow DJ in here. It doesn't matter what bets you give. If it's going to win us money, we're going to take it.
And no, Penn State's got Urban Meyer's never touching another job in the NFL again.
Yeah, that video kind of, this is probably a bad topic, but that video kind of did him in.
He's not a good person. Yeah, he's done. He's cooked.
I don't think he is. But Patrick, out of anything this tomorrow, what's your best bet?
I'm going to go with the Clippers at home, coming back home after winning 5 out of 6. I like their chances. I mean, especially covering. Why not go with the home dog?
See, I refuse because my best bet is the Bucks at home.
Oh,
you can't bet. Your best bet can't be your team.
Hey, look, they've won 5 in a row. They're coming off, again, they haven't really faced too much. They won against Denver at home. Against Pelicans at home, Charlotte at home. This is their homestand before they go on the road for 3 games. I just don't see the Bucks losing. They're so good at home. I think they match up really well against the Clippers. At least Giannis does underneath. I know it's a biased pick. You guys are all going to give me shit for it. I don't care. My best bet of the week for tomorrow is, dude, you know what? Fuck it. Bucks at -8. Bucks -8. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah.
Press up your spread. Press up your spread.
Yeah.
Alternate pick. We're
okay. So for those out there, don't go with his best bet.
Good luck if the Clippers win. I'll be crying in my bedroom, so don't worry about it either way. But oh my God, I love it.
Are we hitting on the game, or are we going?
Hey! Don't you worry about that. Before we go on, this is for bragging rights, my man.
Yes.
They're on Michigan and Northwestern. I know Charlie already touched on it because Charlie's a Northwestern fan. I'm a Michigan fan. We're bringing it to bragging rights. And I won't sugarcoat it at all, dude.
I want Patrick to start. I want to see what Patrick thinks because I know what we're going to
look like crap. But
you know what?
Ahead,
this
Patrick.
is what I'm going to say, and I'm not going to give an opinion on the game. All I'm going to say is this: is the fact that Northwestern is favored. I don't care if they're home. I don't care that. The fact that they're favored in a men's college basketball game is ridiculous. Juwan Jawan Howard needs to check himself. I mean, Michigan's low. They're down deep right now.
They're horrible.
They're
Oh,
bad.
no, them and Ohio State are just vibing and being.
Hey,
awful
Ohio State, I
basketball
checked the
teams.
line. They're favored tomorrow against Wisconsin by
Oh yeah,
7.
no, Wisconsin lost to Northwestern. That killed all their credibility. That's
This
how it
is-
works. When you lose to Northwestern, you lose your credibility tag in college basketball. That's how it works. It's very, very simple how this stuff works. And I wish I was lying, but I've noticed a pattern that teams like a perfect example, even for teams who beat them, like Pittsburgh blew out Northwestern, and I was saying that Northwestern was not that bad. That I thought this Pittsburgh team was an underrated team, and they did that in the ACC. They were getting no respect after beating Northwestern on the road by 20. They were like, nice, you beat a high school team. They were still getting underdogs left, right, and center. They're beating everybody. What I will say about this game is Michigan is an awful basketball team. They're 1-4 on the road. They're not a good team. They're hanging out with Ohio State, Nebraska, and Minnesota in the dumpsters. They're going to be enjoying not even the NIT, not even the non-in-tournament tournament. They're not even going to make that. They're just going to be doing what I'm used to Northwestern doing, which is just studying their books and enjoying the offseason with their 0 wins in the college football playoff that will continue. Love ripping on Michigan. Now to Northwestern. This is an elite basketball team we're talking about right here. This is a Northwestern basketball team that I have not been as excited about since the year that we made the tournament. I'm a very pessimistic fan. So every year that I'm in a Northwestern group chat, and these guys every year say that this is the year we're getting closer. And I always say, guys, we're going to be terrible. Root for 5 wins in conference at most, which we've already surpassed, by the way, and accept that the season's over. But I said this year I believe in our guys. We got Chase Audige, who's a stud transfer that we got from William and Mary. We got Boo Buie, who has the coolest name in college basketball for starters. That's a sick name, Boo Buie, and he's him. This team is legit. We beat Michigan State on the road because we own them. We're going to beat Michigan because we're going to own them too. This is our conference. We're going to go in. We're going to finish with a 20 or 21 win season, make the tournament as a 7, 8, or 9, or 10 seed. We're going to win in the first round, and then we're going to get blown out in the second round by 40 to like a Kansas team. And I'm going to be proud of that season and hang up my national championship banner that says made the college basketball tournament again. That is what's going to happen. We're going to go in and play Michigan. I'm going to do an alternate spread. I know it's -4. I'm going to put Northwestern at -10. We're going to beat the brakes off of Michigan in this game and let them know who little brother is.
Bro.
Little brother. Oh my God.
Michigan
we
is
beat
a bad
them in the
basketball
tournament
team.
last time. Remember that? We hit the buzzer beater. I don't know if Kyle remembers that game.
Don't you fucking bring that up.
That was a beautiful game. I broke my remote in celebration.
Oh my God.
Little brother. Wow.
I will not sugarcoat it. They are a bad basketball team. I will not sugarcoat it.
Horrible.
Hunter Dickinson is the only savior of that entire team. They lost their good guards to the draft. They lost, I mean, they're good, even forwards they lost to the draft. I will not sugarcoat it. They're a bad basketball team. But it's against my religion to pick anything. I guess Northwestern's not that bad.
No one hates Northwestern. We're the nerds that lose at everything.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why I'll take Michigan +4.5. But we'll see. Obviously, it's just this game is not meant to be, our best bet or anything. It's just a game for
this is not
bragging
high
rights.
quality. This is probably going to be a rock fight. This is probably going to be a low-scoring game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Michigan and Northwestern are going to be fighting to hit like 60 points. Anybody who turns this game on that doesn't actually root for either team, which means for Northwestern, there's probably me and like 6 other viewers because we don't have any fans. This is going to be a Michigan home game. Michigan's going to have most of their fans there. But you know what? There's going to be at least 10 Northwestern fans. I can hang my hat on that. I will say the only thing on a serious note is Northwestern does actually have an elite defense. They give up 62 points a game. So their defense will keep them in this game. And that's also why I'm going to go with them because I don't think Michigan has many other guys that can score well besides Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a terrible game. I'll be honest. This is not the highlight. Anybody here who's like looking to get into college basketball and wants to start watching entertainment, this will make you turn away. So I would not recommend watching this game. However, if you are one of the other 5 Northwestern fans, support us. We got this. If you're one of the many bandwagon Michigan fans that probably stopped watching them because they know their season's over, don't watch anyway. Your team's done. You're cooked.
I hate everything about this. I'm moving on. But I mean, yeah, truly, besides probably Purdue, Howard brings up a good point.
Yeah, the Big Ten is
Purdue,
so bad.
The Big Ten's bad. There's
bad.
no sugarcoating it. They're just bad.
And yet somehow they're going to get 7 teams in the tournament, and they're all going to lose in round 1 besides Purdue. We already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what's
they're
going to happen.
They're all going to lose in round 1
every year.
Yeah,
so I
never
pick
like
a Big Ten team in my Final Four. I've never done it, and I never will.
I
know what's going to happen.
I got Michigan last year.
Jeez.
Yeah, that wasn't very good, but it's the way it goes. They made the championship 2 years ago.
Ross is right, by the way. The under is the play. You should not be taking the spread of this game. If the over/under is anything higher than like 50, take the under. This is going to be such a low scoring, painful
It probably
game.
will be for sure. All right, let's go over some Ralph, thanks so much for joining the show. Gulfstream Park is going to start right now.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Christine Race, thank you so much. Starts right now. I know I commented under it, but I completely agree with everything that everyone said. It's just, like I said, that game's just for bragging rights. It was just something I wanted to bring up because Charlie's a Northwestern fan. I'm a Michigan fan. They play each other. You got to bring it up. But
Absolutely.
guys, let's move on to our Gulfstream pick 4, which we're actually doing Saturday this week because the boys tomorrow are doing a very, very good card at Santa Anita over the weekend, which has a lot of Derby preps, and the Bob Baffert special in race, I believe, number 3, where it's a Derby prep stakes race where there's 4 horses and not a single one of them is eligible for Derby points, which
I
is
saw that on Twitter.
hilarious.
People are loving that on Twitter.
Oh,
my
it's
God.
Dude, it's stupid. That's what it is. But I mean, that's the way it is. You see Bob Baffert on the entry sheet. I believe the entries that were the pre-entries that were put in, I think there was 14 Bafferts and 2 Peter Millers. That was it. It was 14. It was 90% Baffert. I mean, you see him on the sheet. I wouldn't touch it either, but that's the way it goes. So, but let's move on to Gulfstream here, guys. I'm going to bring up the entries right now, and our picks for race number 9 is where the pick 4 starts on this show, guys. I know a lot of people come over from Howard's. We do a pick 4 on this show, just kind of bring down the price a little bit. But race 9, like I said, is the first race. It is the Kitten's Joy Stakes, I believe, named after a really good horse in his own right. But let's go on to race number 9 here as I bring up the entries. Yeah, you like that?
There you go.
Let's go on. So they don't have morning lines out. That's just the frank of it because we're so early. But I would be willing to bet that the morning line favorite will be the number 4 Major Dude for Spendthrift Farm, Irad Ortiz, and Todd Pletcher. Guys, as I bring up the PPs, Patrick, I'm going to go to you first while I bring up the picks. And surprise, surprise, everybody's a chalk eating weasel with me. No one can get away from me this time. But we're all going with the number 4 Major Dude. Patrick, while he's on the screen now, you want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this horse raced 2 back in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, which is obviously a grade 1, and it's, as a 2-year-old, that's what you want to be racing in on the turf. I just think his last effort going a mile on the Gulfstream Park turf, the horse just wasn't all of that. The fractions were okay. The horse that got the inside draw in this race, Candidate, set the pace and ran with it. I think Major Dude bounces back from that performance, and this horse will only get better. I like this horse a lot. I think Candidate needs, the early lead, and needs to set a solid a pace that's not too quick, and I just don't see that happening. I think there's 3 or 4 horses in this race that are going to try and go to the lead, and that's I think that only sets up for Major Dude.
Yeah, so I'll let Charlie, do you have anything to touch on before I kind of give my 2 cents on this one?
Yeah, no. So the reason I honestly ended up on the 4 is because me, I don't really love speed horses, especially when it's longer distance. Even though I do like what Candidate's done, I love that it's got my favorite jockey on it. The problem is when you're adding distance, I just think that only favors Major Dude more. I think obviously if you look in the comments, it showed that it was rallying up to the one horse. It just didn't have enough time. So I think this distance will help. And I think Patrick nailed it on the head as well. The other thing I was going to say is, like, you look at the 6 Dude in Colorado. There's some other horses in this field as well that are going to be speed as well. They're going to make it tough on that horse. So I just don't think it's going to have an easy way to wire the field again. And I think if that doesn't happen, I think this is a race that benefits horses that are going to sit right behind them. And that kind of qualifies for the 4 and 5, which is why those 2 are both in my top 3. Yeah, I just feel like this race is literally meant for Major Dude, and it's kind of a race where he doesn't have an excuse to not win.
I completely agree. Look, this is my 2 cents on this type of horse. It's Pletcher. It's Irad. It's going to take money. This is the big thing for me is this last race, Candidate had it absolutely every single way that he wanted in this spot. The last one, the Dania Beach, granted, look at this, like 66.71, granted, a really nice improvement to an 86 buyer, which again is for those of you that don't know, is the rating that they give the horse for how fast that they ran in relative to the time. At a mile, like, it's just, he got everything. He was never within a half length of a horse. I just don't see how this horse can be on the lead by itself again. Granted, we said that all the time on Pegasus Day, which if you watch that show, God, it still pains me to listen to watch that race back with, again, congratulations to our collector, but I did not have him. This just seems like the right spot for Major Dude. They're going a little bit longer, I believe, the mile in the 16th, going a little bit longer where he won the Pilgrim. Granted, it was on yielding turf. Again, goes to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile turf, which that 9th, I mean, you can excuse that 9th. He was wide the whole way, losing to 2 very good Euros. And again, he comes back in the Dania Beach off that layoff and still improves the buyer. That's my big thing is when horses come off of a layoff, especially off a race like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile turf, and they improve their buyer, this horse has just been steadily improving its whole way up the ladder. With Pletcher and Irad, I really think this time is the time for Major Dude. And, Michael says, again, same thing. He was against him last out. This spot fits. I wasn't necessarily against him. I didn't think Candidate would get the lead like that, but I completely agree. Mike, he says 4.62. I completely agree. Guys, I'm going to let you guys touch on Candidate a little bit, and then I'll go on to the 2, and we'll move on to the next race. Patrick, what's kind of what you're thinking?
I mean, with Candidate, solid horse. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the horse has improved on every race. I just think that it's the need to lead type of horse. And, maybe next out they'll find a race where the horse can get the lead and wire the field. I just think this race sets up for other horses like Major Dude because Todd Pletcher, I hate to play this game, but I kind of think we should bring it up. Pletcher's got another horse in Dude in Colorado, the 6, who I have in 3rd. That horse is going to try and go to the lead. The horse won last out going to the lead. Draws an outside post where the horse can get the lead, has a jockey in Luis Saez who's very solid on the lead. So I just think this is a setup factor where Major Dude can thrive in this situation.
Yeah. Charlie, is that kind of what you're thinking?
I was going to say, I honestly rather just hit on the 5 for a moment because I was kind of flipping between the 1 and 5 for second. I think Patrick kind of would say what he was going to say. But yeah, the reason why I'm also intrigued in the 5 is kind of like what Patrick hit on. I think like the 1 and 6 will probably be going right to the lead. And I feel like this is a kind of race that'll really set up well for the stalking type of horses, like the 4 and 5, where they'll sit right behind them. And I could definitely see this being one of those races where the 6 and 1 are in the front. They start to tire each other out as we get ready for that stretch. And again, what is a longer race this time? And that the 5 and 4 are sitting right behind him. And then it just comes down to those 2 battling. I just like the 4 more. But like if you look at the 5 in his last race, I think the added distance will help. It was tough competition in its last race. And I really like the jump in the buyer figure from 68 all the way up to 83. So I mean, Mark Cassie's a terrific trainer. I really do think that if it can continue to build on those efforts, this could be a sneaky one that could get the right trip and help it out. And I think if the 4 doesn't take advantage of this trip, the 5 could be a sneaky one that does.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Everything, I had him in 3rd. That's everything that I wanted to hit on. Last horse I want to touch on is the 2, and there's a lot of 2 love in the chat between Ross Blacker and Michael Osen or Osen. Shit, I still don't know how to say your name. I apologize, Michael. But I know what people are going to say when they look at the horse like this, where, the horse didn't get that good of a trip in the Dania Beach where Candidate just wired the field. Rosario really has not been riding that well. I was really mad at him last weekend because he kept putting my horses in damn jail on the inside, like Wakanaka. If you watch that replay, he stayed on the inside and got absolutely checked so hard. Granted, again, it might not have been fault to his own. I'm not going to sit here and discredit jockeys, but he hasn't been riding that well. 9% for Joel, a guy like Joel Rosario is not very good. But Grand Motion brings this one back in I think a lot better spot. I think there's a lot more speed up in front in this type of race. I just think in this spot, Major Dude is that type of horse that gets the jump on a horse like Sozak, and he's gonna beat him. Sozak would probably be my horse that if the pace kind of collapses, get a good run. Joel gets him to the clear on the outside, but would finish just behind Major Dude. I'd say my guess is gonna be a length and a half or so, but I think just a patient ride, and hopefully Joel Rosario can get this one out in the clear. Again, this one is coming from Europe, where 10 horses tend to like to be covered up on the inside, and I like the 2-hole where the Candidate, where the 1's going to have to go and the 2's going to sit on the rail. As long as Joel can get out off the rail coming into the top of the stretch or on the turn, I feel like this horse definitely has a chance as long as the pace sets up for this horse. I really do like this horse in second. But guys, I'm going to move on after that. Like I said, I'm 4.25, Patrick's 4.16, and Charlie is 4.15 in race 9. I'm going to move on to race number 10 here as I'd move to it. This one, we are all over the board. I'm going 3.98. Patrick's going 6.73. and Charlie's going 7-8-3. Charlie, you and Patrick both have the 7. I'm going to let you talk first as he's your top pick. What do you like about the number 7 in here? Undervalued asset for Brown and Ortiz.
Yeah, so honestly, when you get that connection, it's always very intriguing. Yeah, I just like the fact that Chad Brown horses tend to do well pretty much everywhere. And I also like that this is this horse's second time out. Obviously, to win as dominantly as the horse did in its last race and then wait, not like a crazy long time by any means, but I just think this was Chad Brown trying to get it in a stakes race because it was ready for it, but get it in the right one. I think this is a good spot for this horse. I think Irad obviously also believes in the horse, and that's why he's on it again. I know the 72 doesn't jump off the page, but again, I think Chad Brown has this horse in a spot where he's comfortable with it, where he likes his horse. I think second time out again is where horses usually take that next step forward. And if it takes any sort of step forward after how good it looked in its last one, I mean, that horse was literally eased because the race was over. I don't think it'll have any trouble adjusting to the slightly longer distance. So yeah, that's why I'm on undervalued asset. I really think this is a great spot for this horse. I do think it'll get, unfortunately, a lot more money bet on it than I would like to, but yeah, no, I love the horse.
Yeah, and Patrick, I'm going to let you touch on a little bit before I give my case against this horse. As you see, I don't have this horse anywhere.
So my whole opinion on this race is I just think the pace falls apart. Like, I think this is a disastrous. I need the lead for most horses in this race, and I think Lynx. Joel needs to sit back with this horse and make one run at it, because if you look at this horse's PPs and you see where he's won, he's come from off the pace, in fourth, sixth, third, and he's been a distance back. And I think the pace in all those races have been 20. The first fraction has been 22-4, 22 and change, and then 45 and change. I mean, this horse should, nail the closing aspect of this race. So we'll see. But I mean, automatically won two back in a race where the pace was not that fast. So I'm hoping for speed.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And like I said, here's my kind of case why I don't like undervalued asset in this spot. Again, granted, you can only beat who's in front of you. And she, cheers everybody. That's the other meme on the HHH Racing Podcast flagship show. If you say the wrong gender of the horse, you will drink, and I will take that as well. But look, I just don't know who she beat in the first race. And granted, like I said, you could only beat who's in front of you. But with these cold fractions, this horse is near the lead, probably not a need the lead type, but it's going to be she's going to be towards the front, coming off a layoff off of an aqueduct race. I mean, again, this horse came back and won, but she won at a maiden 40 claimer with a 46 buyer. And again, if you look through these other horses, this horse is a mid 50s buyer only. This horse came back and ran a 50 buyer, losing by a length at Gulfstream. This coming back off that layoff, and then this horse came back and ran a 4 buyer. Like, just for me, that the price that this horse is going to be in this race, which undoubtedly is probably going to be second or third choice, probably second choice, honestly, behind Atomically, it's just not for me. I just can't do it. I'm not gonna lose to this horse. I'm gonna have her in my pick 4, but this horse this is a horse for me where this horse needs to do it again for me to be able to respect a horse like that. Again, like I said, you can only be who's in front of you, and she won by 8 1/4 lengths, so she deserves to be, in this race. But again, this is just a do it for me again type of thing. As a horse that's going to be a short price. Atomically probably will also be the favorite in the spot, just coming off of that Juvenile Phillies grade 1. I'm going to play this turn replay because this horse is coming back to this 7 furlongs distance where she won by 7, favorite at 4-5. I'm going to play this replay real quick for you guys just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking. If I go all the way up to the turn in this race, this race was, of course, won by Wonder Wheel, who's right here. But you can see all the way coming down this backstretch here. Here's Atomically. She's in tight. She's moving up right here. This is probably about the 6 furlong mark where she's giving a good run at it. She's already being asked. She's going to have to try and get through. She's behind a wall of horses. And these horses are the best Juvenile Fillies that were in the entire nation. And obviously, Tyler Gaffleone right here with Wonder Wheel is going to come out and make an absolutely great move, shutting off the 8. But again, the 8 has no run right here. And I just don't think that she wants this far of a distance. Granted, she won that Gulfstream race 2 back at that distance. at the mile and a 16th, but I just think she might be better set 7 furlongs. And if she puts anywhere probably close to this effort, which she improved on the next time out, beating a horse like Lynx at a mile and a 16th, she's definitely not a need the lead type. I would like her a little better, honestly, stalking the pace. I just think this horse might be too big here. Like I said, the Chad horse is going to be over bet. The 3 horse is probably going to be the favorite, but I'm hoping for something like 8-5. I think that's 8-5, 9-5, 2-1, 9-5 is probably good value on this horse. I don't think this horse will be that though, but I'm going to go mainly with this horse around and play around this. And the last horse I want to touch on is the 9 Positano Sunset, which I'm actually really surprised that no one has in here. This horse ran at Churchill at 6.5 after running at Keeneland in October before the Breeders' Cup. This horse almost seems like the horse that is going to be one of the best, one to beat. This horse might be probably third choice, just judging by connections. But that last race, guys, again, granted, it was pretty slow pace in the middle while this horse was stalking it and got a big number. This race at Keeneland, losing to Julia Shining, who is an absolutely great horse, which, if you don't know, is a full sister to newly crowned older female of the year, Malathot. Is a full sister. Granted, one came back and won the Grade 2 Demoiselle over a horse like Affirmative Lady. Like Julia Shining would be probably 1-9 in this spot, in my opinion. It's just a horse that just loses to a horse like that and then comes back out and gets an 80 buyer off an improve like that. I really, really like this horse in this spot. And I think in this race, I think I might have gone 4 in this race, but this race might be between the 3 and the 9, especially with how the track has been playing to front runners in this type of spot. Granted, there is a lot of speed, but I think this 3 and the 9 sit really good trips. And I think, it might just be between one of the two. I'm hoping for a bigger price, of course, as you'll see later, but that's just my opinion on it. And like I said, we'll move on to the next race, guys, because like I said, we're getting a little bit over time and I kind of want to move along. But that's just like I said, that's kind of my strongest opinion in this entire field, except the last race, which we'll get to. But it's just what I'm thinking, where, the 7's beatable. It's going to be really low of a price. And I think the 3 and the 9 are better horses. That's just the way it goes. But hey, I could be completely right. And I've been completely wrong before. And I'm sure it's not going to be the last time. So, but guys, let's move on to race 11 real quick as I bring up the PPs. I'm going to bring up our picks here. Again, we're all over the board. I have the 1-2-1-7-5. Patrick has 8-2-7, and Charlie has 3-1-7. Charlie, I'm going to go back to you first here. Or actually, I think Patrick, did you go first in the first race? I think I'm going to go first you here. And you are going to go with the number 8, Heavenly Sunday for Cox and Gaffalione.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, this horse is 2 for 2 coming out. It's ran on 2 different turf tracks, Indiana and then Keeneland. I think this horse has a shot to be a good one for Cox on the turf. Cox has had it hit at 25% in graded stakes, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just think this race is kind of all over the map a little bit. Like
Yep.
my second choice, Padma. I'm not really sure if I'm saying that right. This horse is trying to find the right distance. The horse that I have on top, Heavenly Sunday, is stretching out in distance again, which I think is a sign that Cox likes this horse. Like, I'm going to keep her going, have her go further distance. So I think this horse, I don't see why this horse doesn't have a shot.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a contender. I actually don't have her anywhere in my top 3, but I do have her in my pick 4. This race, like Patrick said, this race can be realistically one from anywhere. Like, there's a lot of horses in this race. I mean, you have the Cairo Consort, who I have in second, and both of the guys have in third. I mean, Alpha Bella, I thought was interesting in this spot. I mean, the Malimu and Padma and Sweet Lou's got aces. Like, there's a lot of horses that have this that can really win in this type of spot. Charlie, I'm moving to you, who you actually have a horse that I just touched on, Malimu, who was actually bred in the U.S., but then moved to Ireland for Joseph O'Brien, who won the maiden out there and then came back and ran a really nice race in the wait a while at Gulfstream.
Yeah, no, I just honestly, when it comes to this horse, I love the fact that we're going farther now. I like a closer. I think this is a field that has a lot of horses that would like to either be the speed or at least towards the front. like your top pick, which I'm sure you'll cover as well, about the early speed that it's going to want to show. I honestly don't think the speed figure does it justice. Obviously, it was in a fairly tough race. You see in the comments, though, it notes that it has a hesitating start. So I think if this horse can get any sort of decent start, and the works also show that this is not that slow of a horse.
Yep.
You see a 47 for 4 furlongs and a 48. So I honestly think this is a horse where the pace could set up perfectly. And as long as it has a decent start and doesn't get too far behind, I think this could be a perfect race. And it kind of ties into why I have it 3-1 as my top two, is I can see this being a race where the 1 is the speediest of the speed and is able to stay up there, and that the 3 is able to take advantage of a pace that I think will set up very well for it, and then ultimately just gets past those tiring horses, takes advantage of that longer distance, uses those late strides. And I think, again, that speed, that late speed, like you noted, shows right there with the time form is an 87. Yep. I think it can very well take advantage of that. And as long as, again, it doesn't fall too far behind, I think this race could set up perfectly with a 3 and will be slept on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The only thing I want to touch on is these red figures here. It does mean that the pace was really fast, but again, you don't know really, because this horse was held up as well in its last race in England, whoever was favorite, might I add. And, again, this horse got literally left at the gate. I think it was probably like 2 lengths slow out of the gate. So you don't even really know where this horse wants to be. This horse is definitely interesting. Patrick, I'm moving to you with the 8. Obviously, I touched on you with the 8 Heavenly Sunday. Cairo Consort is a horse that was really good. Granted, it came off a layoff at the Breeders' Cup. Didn't run that good of a race. Favorite at 2-5. But this horse is definitely interesting in this spot and definitely has what it takes to win. I think that horse might be favored. I went with Sweet Lou's Got Aces, guys. And there's these 2 races really what I want to focus on is the 6 furlong race where it barely won. This horse, realistically, it has tracked, but I think this horse really does well in the lead. If you watch that last race, this horse, I'll bring it up just a little bit for the stretch run, but this horse powered home. Granted, it had the lead the whole way. It had exactly what it wanted. But, I mean, you see here at the top of stretch, cuts the corner beautifully on a horse that Chad Brown trains, Private Credit. And look at this kick away. That's what I'm really looking for. And Gulfstream's turf and dirt for that matter. But if you haven't been, it really has been favored, at least on Pegasus Day. It's favored to horses that like to be towards the front. They can really cut that corner at Gulfstream Park around that tight turn, kind of open up. But that distance right there, that kind of push away from everybody against some pretty decent horses like Alluring Angel, who ran a pretty nice race next time out. I just think this horse could be really dangerous on the lead. And if Ray Handel, who trains a lot of Howard's horses and is a really good guy, they have a bunch of shows with him if you're interested. I just think this horse might get the lead from the rail. Obviously, Joel's going to have to send from the rail. I just think this horse might get a pretty good trip and hopefully can cut that corner around the tight turns that is Gulfstream Park. Last horse I want to touch on is Alpha Bella, but Cairo Consort, again, like I touched on, just not a very good, but again, it was off that Breeders' Cup layoff. Like I said, it regressed 6 points, but this type of trip is what might work really good, especially on, like I said, horses favored towards the front of the Gulfstream turf. If Sweet Lou's Got Aces can't get out to a favorable lead from the rail, let's say that horse doesn't break or whatever, this is a horse that can pick up on that. And the 7 is definitely a likely winner. I just don't like the price it's going to be at. It'll probably be favorite. It'll probably be around, I'm thinking most likely 8-5. But this horse, I mean, anyone can win this race. So I just want to pick this horse in second. I know Chalk Eating Weasel is taking the horse that probably likes on top, but throws him underneath. But, it's the way it goes around here. I'm trying my hardest to not pick the chalk every race. But Cairo Consort can definitely win. And Alpha Bella is the last horse. This is the race that this horse is favored on the turf after not racing on the turf at all. Is by Justify out of an Irish mare who has done really well on turf. I really like the blinkers on move in this spot where you can see this horse is kind of far back. Granted, went to the lead there on the dirt. Then it was farther back. I love the blinkers on and how this horse does taking to the turf out of that Irish mare. Gets the top buyer. I think this horse can only improve off of that effort and keeps Sayas on for Pletcher. I think this horse can really be interesting. And this horse I'm hoping will be like 5-1 in this spot, which could definitely incite some really good value. And guys, so like I said, to move on to the last race here, just in the essence of time, I'm going to bring up our picks right now. But race 12, we are actually, no, Patrick and I both have the same exact picks where we're going to be really right or really wrong. And Charlie is going the odd man out. He's going with 4-6-1. Patrick and I both have 8-4-1. And as I bring up the PPs, Charlie, I'm going to let you talk first to let you tell us why we're completely wrong in this race and why the 4 is going to win this race, which as I bring up the PPs is Cyclone Mischief for Tyler Gaffleone and Dale Romans.
Yeah, so again, obviously, I'll admit that there's some bias there because I love Tyler Gaffleone. But I honestly just the last race just stands out to me so much. I mean, that horse was just so dominant. Again, I'm not normally someone who likes a horse that's going to be towards the front. But if you look at all of its races, other than or if you really look at 2 of its last 3 races, but especially again that last one where it came back after being in November, responded really well to the course and distance, dominated, got like just off the lead, and then just completely pulled away. And obviously, I mean, this horse wasn't the favorite. It wasn't bet down hard either as well. So it's not like it was some weak, easy field that it was supposed to be in. Honestly, when we get to my ticket, I didn't. But that's what kind of intrigues me even more so is the route you guys went, because I thought about being bold and singling this horse. I love everything about this horse. I really do like Cyclone Mischief. I think the distance will be fine for the horse. I think it could run away with it. I truly think if it runs a race anything like its last one, it should win easy. Maybe I'm missing something, but I love this 4 horse.
No, I mean, absolutely.
Horse is talented.
It's absolutely talented. And the only thing that it's done wrong, realistically, was in the Kentucky Jockey Club, which is a grade 2. It's losing to a horse like Instant Coffee, which if we bring this up, might I add, if you don't know, Instant Coffee came back and won the LeCompte, which is a very, very nice Derby prep to Fairgrounds, earning a 92 buyer.
Yeah, that's Brad Cox's Derby horse right there.
Yeah, which, I mean, is not a bad horse to lose to by any means. Granted, was 7th, but only off by 2 3/4 while setting the lead. The only thing that I didn't like, granted, again, it was against very nice horses, but getting that really, I mean, 24 and 50 around Churchill's dirt, especially when it's fast, that's just so slow to me. Granted, again, so it was against horses like Instant Coffee and Curly Jack, who would be, I mean, I don't even know what they would be in this spot. Maybe Instant Coffee would be 1-9. Yeah. Curly Jack, I don't know what Curly Jack would probably be favored in this spot. But it's just the fact that, you know, I just didn't like what I saw from this horse on the lead, and I just think there might be other speed in this horse to race to contest it. But like the 5 and the 6 will both definitely go out to the lead. And I believe we were talking about the Lord Miles will be towards mid pack, but I just think there might be other speed. But again, every time I say that, the pace doesn't develop. Patrick, I'm going to let you talk about our top pick, Rocket Can, which I have a very strong opinion about in this race.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is Billy Mott's Derby horse, and you look at the connections, Frank Fletcher, they won last Saturday. They had a big Saturday last weekend at Gulfstream Park. I'm thinking we might have a second one when they win the Holy Bull. I think this horse is solid. You look at this horse's track record. Faced us a very good horse in Confidence Game last time out. Training very well. I just see this horse improving, and the pace could be a huge issue here, especially for Cyclone Mischief with a lot of horses liking speed early on. I think this is a good chance for Rocket Can to get some points headed towards the first week in May.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there's one thing that as I take this banner off here, these comments down here exactly thought it hit on right exactly what I thought was maybe he just hated New York. I don't know what was going on with this horse. I mean, he just didn't really run well in Saratoga. I think mainly it's the getting around 2 turns, not having this horse sprint. Granted, he fell way back in way back, especially in this last race, but this horse is just a lot better around 2 turns. It seems like he can work out the trip that he can. Junior Alvarado from the outside post. I really think if he has to use a little bit, he can. But just to get into that middle post for this, or the middle grouping for this horse, having those horses run out in front of him, I think this horse can really explode at the top of the stretch. I just think this is mainly a connection. Bill Mott is very good at placing his horses. Don't get me wrong. This is a very big pace play for me. I really think that this horse is going to sit in that second, almost art collector type of spot, if I may. Granted, this horse is an art collector, but it could turn into art collector. It just sits that spot. I really just think that this is a very big pace angle for me. And as I bring back up the PPs, We already talked about the 4 in the last sort. I'm going to talk, Patrick, I'll let you talk about Lord Miles for a little bit, and then Charlie, I'll let you round out with the 6.
Yeah, I like the blinkers going on for this horse. I think this horse
Yeah,
might improve with that.
absolutely.
You look at the horse's last 2 races. You could say the last one was a little bit concerning. Did improve according to buyers, and stretching out. I think the stretch out is even better. And I don't see why not with Safi Joseph and Irad. Irad will hop on this horse obviously for a reason. So love this equipment change.
Yeah, and I mean Michael Austin, sorry again. I apologize, but I completely agree with both of you. This blinkers on is really going to help this horse. For those of you that don't know that are in the stream, thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate it. Blinkers on generally will keep a horse a little bit closer to the lead. As you see, this horse has been really far back. And like even the Macho Man, I mean, this horse dropped way far back. I mean, maybe not way, but he was last. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this horse, if this was probably a little closer with the pacing area, he probably gets the jump on everybody and comes over the top. But I really love the equipment change out of Curlin for Safi and Irad with this bullet work last time out. This horse definitely has to be in there. Definitely a contender. I just think Rocky Can might be a little too much for this horse. But again, that's just the way it goes. But as I move on, Charlie, do you want to touch on the 6 Legacy Isle for Rohan Crichton and Luis Saez before we bring up our pick 4s?
Yeah, so I mean, first off, for the 1, everything you guys said is spot on. I mean, I love Safi Joseph Jr. He owns Gulfstream, basically. Love that Irad's chosen to take the horse. I think the added distance will help. The equipment change help. I think the workouts as well. I think that horse is very primed for showing, and that's why I think this is a race where you can't really single. That was another reason why I didn't single the 4. But the 6 is a very intriguing horse to me. I love that Luis Saez is on it. I think Luis Saez is very good at knowing what to do with these horses. Also, which you can kind of see with the numbers in red, obviously, and you can see with the times. I mean, this horse has been in crazy high paced races for long distance, and yet still hasn't ended up fading from it and has been able to stay up and against decent competition, like in the Macho Man in its last race. So I don't think the added distance will be a problem. I also think this horse will probably be the one on the lead. But I don't know if the pace will be that crazy because I know the 4-horse shows speed, but I think the 4-horse is going to want to sit a little off the pace, like you were kind of hinting at. I think the 1 is going to want to be a little higher up, but still sit off the pace. I think the 6 could end up being in a spot where it's right in the front on its own, and then you kind of have like the 1, the 4, and the 8 sitting right off of it. But if those 3 kind of battle each other too much and sitting off of it and don't give the 6 enough attention, I think this could be a race where the 6 just gets away. I don't think it will. I think there's too much quality for that to happen, but I feel like it'd be crazy not to at least have him in there and consider him, because it's not like that happening is not possible. So I didn't want to take that risk happening, so I had to throw the 6 in there.
Yeah, I mean that's completely. I mean, we all have seen it on Gulfstream where, I mean, it was the 6. God, I can't remember that horse's name. Where we didn't have it. I think it was Queen's Goddess. That was the name of the horse during Pegasus weekend. That didn't get away, but just got that insanely nice trip and just beat all of our horses that we had. Got the Shantasara and everything. Granted, that was on the turf, but still. Michael Austin again, 4-8-1. Don't win this race. I'll be beyond shocked. I completely agree. Granted, if I get beat, like I said, my strongest opinion of the entire weekend is Rocket Can, but if that horse doesn't win, the 4 and the 1 are definitely the most likely winners. I completely agree with you. Christine Race again. He can't be our clay. Yes, I completely. Oh my God. Look, that's something I will own up to as well. That was not a good pick. I know Howard liked it as well, but I did like O'Connor as well. I thought he was primed for a big effort. That he was just not good. He is just very not good in that spot. Which again, I feel bad for tipping it out, but I played it myself. I had it myself. It just sucks, especially when you have a horse that you think's going to run good at 25-1. Granted, you don't have to be that right all the time to be profitable in a scenario like that, but yeah, it hurts for sure. So Christine Race, I completely agree with you. Cindy likes the other 3-horse, which is the other mod as well. I mean, the only reason I wasn't on this horse, granted, New York bred Paul will be all over this horse. I think in its maiden race, it really just benefited from the pay structure. Granted, forced in the break, he was too wide on every turn, as the notes say. I just think he benefited from the pace structure. Granted, and again, he dropped back in this race and was cold. could be primed for a big effort. I just need to see it. This is the type of race where I need to see it to believe it. Again, if the 8-4-1 doesn't win, I will be very shocked. And guys, for some reason, our special guest is not answering me. That's what I've been kind of delaying for. But we'll move on as the show we'll move on to see it. And I'll let you go first, Patrick, with your, as I bring us full screen here. I'll let you go on with your pick fours here.
All right, so for my pick 4, I'm going to go 1-4. So I'm going to go Major Dude and Candidate. I think those are the two best horses in the race. I don't want to risk Candidate wiring the field just in case the horses decide not to go. And then I'm going to go 3-6-7 in the second leg of the race. As I said, I like Lynx to come from off the pace and win that one, but I'm not going to leave off undervalued asset for Chad Brown. I think that horse could be a good one for Chad, and then Automically, who obviously has raced some pretty big ones. And then I'll go 2-7-8 in the third leg. I do like that Brad Cox horse a lot, but I think we could spread a little bit in that one. And then in the final leg, I was thinking about singling Rocket Can for Billy Mott, but I didn't have the guts to do that. So I'll go 4-8 and to close off my ticket for 50 cents, which is $18.
Absolutely fair. And guys, he has come in the background. It is nationally renowned handicapper, second place of the UBC. It is the man, the myth, the legend, the owner of the HHH Racing Podcast, Howard Kravitz. Howard, what's going on, my friend?
What's up, boys?
Bettin, we're boozing, baby. That's what I love to see. Oh my God.
Oh no.
This is insane. Oh yeah, there. Oh my God. Yeah,
Oh,
can you do that back?
How we doing, fellas?
What's going
Did the
on?
show start yet? Am I late or what?
I'm too sober for this right now.
I love it.
How we doing?
Doing good.
I'm ready
man.
to roll. Let's go, mofos. What do we got? You want my pick 4 already or what?
Absolutely. I already got it, bro. Let's go.
I'm going first. All
Yeah.
right, let me tell you guys something. First of all, so happy to be on the show. You guys are rocking it out, doing a great job. But you guys have no freaking idea what you're talking about. Let's break it down. All right. First leg, 2-4-5. Candidate, bad choice. Got away with the slow pace. Got away with murder. Forget it. Suzak, the 2, brutal trip. Second time, grab motion. I know Rosario sucked last week. He's going to be much better. There's your price, the number 2, Suzak. Major Dude, yeah, he can win. Someone, was it Charlie called out Lights on Broadway? The 5? So, someone did, or maybe, yeah. The horse he lost to, Ari Gold, is the nice horse and got no pace. Look out for Lights on Broadway, baby. Charlie, Patrick should like that horse. He's not that far from Broadway. But anyway, by the way, you know what I heard on the news? Speaking of the East Coast, Patrick, there's some damn school in New Jersey, a high school, that's having a late start. They must be close to Philly, is having a late start on Monday after the Super Bowl because they think the kids are going to stay up too late. What the hell? That is a real news story. Check it out. I don't know what the hell's going on with you New Jersey idiots, but seriously, I mean, get your ass to school. It's fine. You got to stay up late for the Super Bowl, whatever. Anyway, just kidding. I love New Jersey. All right, let's go to the.
Want to harm the fans out there?
Howard's taking my role. He's trying to be the hot take guy.
That's
He's
what I'm
coming
saying.
in
Let's go to the second leg. I got 3, 7, 8, 9. I might use your 6, actually, Patrick. The race might fall apart, but you know what? Every freaking time I think a race is going to fall apart,
That's also
it
true.
never falls apart. So I'm going 3, 7, 8, 9. I bet atomically in the Breeders' Cup. Glad you showed that replay, Kyle. I think she can go short or long, but I like atomically quite a bit in that spot. I think she's going to come back to a nice race.
I agree.
The next race. Okay, I got to throw some love out to my buddy Charlie, my Chicago, actually my former very close neighbor. He knows what I mean. I know where you live, Charlie, so don't mess this up, all right? Now listen, Malimu, great pick. Yes. Did anyone watch the easy Christine? Easy Christine out there. Just because you said that, I'm going to have another drink. Hold on. I got to double booze it. Hold on.
Oh my God.
All right, look. Malimu. This did not get off very well at all. I know you mentioned it, Kyle. There's more pace in the race. I think Malimu is very live. Do you know who Malimu lost to, Kyle, or anyone on the show? A Power Picks special Juniper Marshmallow, who we had on this show and on the Power Picks at a price, I think. So anyway, I think that race might fall apart. I like Malimu. Kyra Consort, by the way, sucks. I don't know what you guys are thinking. That horse is not gone. Just kidding, Todd Pletcher. You know I love you. Kyra Consort, honestly, guys, though, has not gotten much better. Just take a look at the PPs. Can she win? Yeah, but like she's like meh. She doesn't, and she's gonna be like 5-2 meh. So I don't want Kyra Consort at all. I have her nowhere. I actually prefer the 2, the Mott Alvarado. I think Patrick, you mentioned that horse. Mott Alvarado, very good first time turf. You guys should check out the stats. I think the 2 is a little bit interesting. And then the last race. Are any of you guys fans of Elton John? Yeah. Rocket Can, he is going to win the Holy Bowl at 5-2. Rocket Can. I love Rocket Can.
I do.
Rocket Can is going to do it. You guys did all the points. Cyclone Mischief is really talented. I don't like this like sort of quick turnaround. And this is a yin-yang gang, boys. This is a yin-yang game. Sure, Cyclone Mischief win. I'm using him as an A. But on an ABC, or excuse me, on a Caveman, I would single Rocket Cam. Slightly concerned about the outside post guys. No bueno at Gulfstream going 2 turns, but I'll go with Rocket Can. There you go. There's my picks. Boys, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Good luck. Howard, out.
Wow.
That is funny.
How about that shit, eh? That was
Holy
freaking
shit.
great. But yeah, there's your special guest for the night, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. That was an absolute. I didn't know that was what's gonna be, but that was absolutely hilarious. That was great. But Charlie, Patrick already did one. So Howard, you actually went second. But Charlie, I'll let you go next. Charlie's going 1-4 with 7-8 with 1-3-7-8 with 1-4-6. Charlie, explain yourself.
Yeah, right. So in the first race, again, I agree with what Howard said. I think the 1 candidate is overrated. I love the 4 in this spot. I think this race is meant for it. But just in case the 1 continues to prove us wrong, and I love Tyler, so I'm not going to take that much of a risk. I got to keep him in there. Then when we move into the next race with the 7-8, I know we already touched on the 7 for a while, undervalued asset, and how I hyped it up. It probably won't be at a great value. I think, again, it's this horse's second time out. I know it didn't beat anyone impressive, but it's second time out. And again, it's Chad Brown. I think the disrespect that this horse is getting on the podcast, not in real life. I know it'll get overbet, but in real life, it's crazy. And I'm a bit surprised we didn't touch on the 8 red carpet ready at all, because if you look at its efforts, again, this horse was another one that, yes, it goes to the lead, but it extends its lead. It had a win against a good quality competition in the Fern Creek. Again, has Luis Saez on it. I think that horse is going to be very live. So that's why I went with those 2. I think the next race is just a disaster, to be completely honest with you. I think race 11 is where everything's going to fall apart and where I'm just hoping to get out alive. That's why I went 4 deep in it. However, I love the 3. That's going to be one where on my own, I'll probably bet it because I think I'll get good value. Love a closer. I think this race falls apart. I will point out, because I know in my top 3, I didn't have Patrick's horse, the 8 that he had on top, but I love that horse. I think that 8 horse will be very dangerous. That's why I really wanted to put it in my top 3. I just couldn't. And in the last race, I really wanted to single the 4, but I just couldn't. I had to put the 6 in there in case it does wire this field by any chance. And I think the 1 horse is a very talented horse as well. I don't see it with the 8. I did put the 8 on my own sheet in parentheses, which meant that I was considering putting it in my top 3 and considered putting it on my ticket. I just don't get the hype. Hasn't done anything for me where I'm like, oh my God, this horse is about to take this field apart. And to be brutally honest, the fact that Kyle loves it, Patrick loves it, and Howard loves it, that everybody is all over it, just says bad signs to me. I feel like I trust Patrick in his convictions, because when Patrick had his convictions on our very first episode, he got it right. But unfortunately, Patrick, you brought Kyle and you brought Howard with you. I think they're going to bring you down, buddy. I'm pulling for you, but I'm happy you cut my 4 in there, because the 4 is going to win this race, everybody.
Again, I touched on it before the show. Last week, I had my biggest play of the day, and it came through at 5-1. So I don't want to hear that from you. Yeah, but hey, I'll take it. But I'll show you what, Howard.
Double down on your bucks with the alternate spread with the chalk. So I don't know.
We'll see. I'll see you there, brother. That's what I'm saying. Now I'll tell you what, guys. $32 because I can for 50 cents.
Oh wow! Wow!
And you singled it. Oh, I'm praying on the
singling Rocket Can on the back end. I know. I can see Howard typing away. He's gonna give me crap for that.
He's just trying to get to the last race.
If you got $2, play this one. I'm going 4 deep and all this. This is just that sequence that where if I can catch a price, I want to be alive. Rocket Can's my biggest my biggest opinion. Thank you, Kyle. My biggest opinion in this entire field. So if that horse hits and there's prices behind it, I want to get paid. Me and Paul are going to get along great, Howard. Don't you worry about that. I'll put in my $2. I'll go fish for quarters in the couch. I'll find my $2. But again, I have 2, 4, 5, 7 in the first leg, which is my top 3, which is 2, 4, 5. The 2 is very interesting. The 4 is Major Dude. 5 Lights of Broadway, I think, is very interesting. And the 7 is Congruent, who beat my my baby Otago, for those of you that know, in the Laurel Futurity that was off turf. I think Congruent, I mean, if this race falls apart, Congruent can definitely be there definitely at a price, which I think will get good value if that horse can somehow make that race, win that race. Oh my God, I cannot speak. But next race is Atomically, is my second biggest opinion. I think this horse might be just better, shorter, like we showed in that replay. I went I think I switched that. That's my fault. I went 3, 7, 8, 9. I added Red Carpet Ready in there instead of the 2. And so I went 3, 7, 8, 9 in leg 2, which is the 7 Chad Brown. I'm not getting beat by that horse. The 8 Red Carpet Reppy and Positano Sunset, which no one else touched on. Which
so there's the respect for the 8. There we
really,
go.
Yep,
Someone
absolutely. So, and then the third leg, I went Sleep Blues Got Aces. The 1, the 2 Padma just doesn't have any turf breeding. Granted, again, it's Mott Alvarado and Godolphin. Mott places his horse very well. I just don't. I don't know. This horse is
gonna
have
the
to
3 in the second to
turf.
last race. Oh my God!
No, I didn't. I did not do it. I
Wow.
said I went with the 5 Alpha Bello,
I can't wait for
which
this
is
race
what I think is going to be very interesting. Is the 5 instead of the 3 Cairo Consort. I can see Howard giving me the thumbs down, and then Heavenly Sunday, and then I'm singling Rocket Can, like I said, who is my biggest opinion in the sequence. Everyone gives me hate when this comes through. When this comes through in the end, I'm going to be laughing at everybody.
No, when it finishes with the 3 and the 4, I'm going to be
look, when everyone says pace develops and Sweet Lou's Got Aces wires the field for Ray Handel, Howard's going to be mad because he didn't have Ray Handel, but I'm going to have him when he wires this field like the pace never develops at Gulfstream. But, guys, what an absolutely insane last few minutes of the Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. It's been an absolute ride of a show, a little bit longer, but I appreciate everyone hanging out here for everything. Like I said, thank you so much for our new sponsor, BetUS. Again, use our promo code RACINGH3 when you sign up and deposit for that 125% bonus. The link is in the description for our affiliate link. If you're going to sign up, please click our affiliate link. We would greatly appreciate it. Now, guys, like I said, thanks so much for everyone for joining the show. It's been an absolute blast. These shows are just absolutely great. I love that we've been able to come together and make this type of thing where, everyone can enjoy a little bit more fun, a little bit more laid back, and a little bit more booze in their life, as Howard said. But
Kyle,
David,
you got pressure on you, buddy.
I know. Pressure's on. Oh, Christine's playing my ticket. Let's hit it, great Christine. I love it. But we're going to end with the most pressing question of this entire show. Flamin' hot sour cream or flamin' hot barbecue? What are the Chips boys thinking in the chat? What do you think?
Barbecue.
I'm definitely thinking flaming hot barbecue. Charlie?
I'm too boring, man. I don't eat any of that kind of crazy chips. I'm just playing.
David, he's not going to give you an
alley.
answer. He's not going to give you an answer, but the 2 boys were with flaming hot barbecue. But Christine, let's hit that ticket. And everyone else, thanks so much for watching episode number 4 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I've been your host, Kyle Roscoe. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.